How much is it?
The sordid topic of coin, I'm afraid, is not so simple. The cost, you see, it's different for everyone.
Well, for me, how much?
I'm outside of society. I'm an artist. Rock and roll is my art. I'm a nigger of the universe. And I'm free because I can leap up and scream. I can put my fist up in the air. I don't give a shit.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Henry Haight. I'm an artist and you're in my humble abode. Today's video is essentially a hot topic and a mystery to a lot of artists, and that is essentially pricing your work. The weird thing is that there are certain artists that virtually can gouge a client, and the whole thing is that in this you want to actually build a rapport with collectors and have an entry level to where your prices eventually do this, as opposed to do this, then this. This could normally happen and does happen a lot in the industry, especially with new artists, graduate shows, things like this, to where at the end of the day it is what the artist is willing to sell the work for. With acrylics, normally one way is the square inch. I believe that, depending on your skill, your reputation, as well as the work itself, you can start from $2.50 to an $8, depending on square inch. So that's width versus length, and there you would have your base. Then you factor in what materials you spent. If you bought some extra brushes and stuff, you want to recoup that cost. Normally if the person buys the work, they're also going to pay the gallery tax or whatever on top of that, the value added tax. That has nothing to do with you or the shipping and any of that. The logistics is down to the gallery dealer. If you sell the work on your website, it is customary to have the actual buyer or collector pay for the logistics of this. Normally what I do is I give them three options. I give them the courier, an art logistics, and then yada yada yada. So they have three facets. My advice for starting out artists is you always want to have an entry level into your work, because again, you want your prices to go like this over time. If you're in it to win it for a career artist, rather than just, hey, I'm going to make a lot of money, then you're kind of going to paint yourself into a corner. And right now, the market with what they call blue chip artists, they're finding that somebody buys a painting for 150, 200,000, and then it goes to auction a few years later, 3 years later, and it sells for 10 grand. I have a bone to pick with certain YouTube artists that say, hey, this is what my work is. They really haven't had any shows. They don't have any kind of industry seasoning behind them. And yet they're selling these large paintings for like, 12, 14,000. Which, if you can get that money, great. However, the buyer is going to look at this and go, oh, in a few years, so-and-so's a YouTuber. They're going to, I've made an investment. The buyer might be lucky to get, $800-900 for the painting. And that's a lot of things with art dealers as well, that, there's a secondary market. If you're doing this, and your work becomes quite collectible and stuff, the secondary market can virtually is where, I like this guy's work, I could get a deal on it. So, the price might increase, but a secondary market is something like a print that comes up. Someone recently passed away and approached me that their friend passed away and they didn't know what to do the work, and asked me if I wanted to buy it back. I don't buy, occasionally I don't really ever buy my work back, but I said that if you could send it to a secondary market, came from a reputable gallery, if they have the certificate of authenticity, you know, and it comes from this particular reputable gallery, you have the provenance. And I asked them to send me pictures, and yeah, we negotiated for one particular gallery in York to sell the work. They recouped a little more than what they paid for it, but the whole thing was that the frame itself was beautiful, and that was a selling point to this. It was a nice piece of work. It was a limited edition print with a 24 karat gold, and essentially it was hand signed. Now this is another thing. If you sign your work, some artists want to sign it on the front and go, hey, there's my name, yada yada yada. And I'm now a firm believer, as I'm getting older, into the whole thing of the aesthetic of quiet luxury and signing my stuff on the back. Prints, yes, I get the stamp. It says, wow, it's a Henry Haight. You know, it's a piss take on absolutely fabulous. But when I sign my paintings, I stamp the wood frame, as well as I sign the actual canvas on the back. Because I just want the work to virtually speak for itself rather than see my name and go, oh, you know, like a Picasso. I was like, no. But again, it's up to the artist. One of the things you can do is you can factor in an hourly rate. So if you're a beginning artist, what are you willing to sell your work, or what are you willing to budget yourself at an hourly rate? And then factor in your actual costs as well. So say you bought a canvas for $40, $50, and you're going to charge $12 an hour. Okay, say, I'm horrible at math, so forgive me. So say you're going to charge $25 per hour. You spend $25 per hour. God damn it, $25 per hour times 8 hours. That's $200 right there. You spent £50 on, or $50 on a canvas. That's $250, and another $45. That's $295 for the work. Now, essentially, you could say for a 10 by 10 canvas, you know, you round up an extra £100 just to kind of as a contingency, but normally it's on your skill, time, as well as reputation and marketability of this. I've made a chart of, you know, artist brand positioning, and essentially all these things come into factor. So you have people who are coming in from the gate who are trying to start an art career, and then those who have been at it in the game a long time. They have brand recognition, brand endorsement, collaborations. I'm not talking about brand sponsorships on fucking YouTube like Squarespace and, you know, some bullshit company of like, hey, learn to draw. No. But an actual company that says, hey, we want to use your artwork to sell our product. Then virtually you're building brand awareness and you're getting your name out there. But if you're starting from the gate, you kind of want an entry level point. Now, entry level, it works on all artists to matter on, you know, starting to master. And the whole thing with those is that entry level is something to where people go, yeah, okay, I can afford that. So for starting out of artists, you're probably going to be in, you know, the 3-digit core numbers of, you know, within under 1,000, and how you figure what you're willing to part from your work is crucial, because essentially at the end of the day, you're trying to make money. You know, if you want to make serious money and you're in this, those numbers will get there eventually. But again, you want to do this on an incline rather than, because the thing about galleries is a gallery is like an atelier that says we believe and we say this work is valued at this, and artist alignment is crucial for certain artists. And, I've shown with some pretty established artists, and, the gallery that I'm with can say his work is this because we say so, and he's shown with these artists. You want to align your work with artists that are comparable to what you do or within your circle of your artist network. That's how you start to virtually build art brand representation, as well as brand awareness and artist awareness of what you're doing. But essentially, if you're just going to go, hey, I'm charging this. There's a scene in Exit from the Gift Shop where Brainwash is just coming up with these crazy numbers, and essentially, I don't think his work is worth that much, and but that's just my opinion. And again, art is subjective, but ultimately it's up to you to decide what you feel you are willing to separate from the work and what you want to get out of it. Ultimately, again, you want to virtually make that incline to say, okay, I believe this is worth this, and that's great. So you have square inch with oil paintings. Again, square inch by length, by width, and the average goes from about $6 to $30, or 30 pounds, wherever you're from. And again, it also deals with the recognition, reputation of the artist, and essentially, I sold, the largest painting I ever did was what was it? It was 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters square. I tend to work in certain sizes, but the largest I did was 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters oil painting, and it sold for $12,000. And I was like, okay. And normally, when you're also budgeting and pricing your work, you kind of want to virtually be on a price point to where you can sell your work and then say, okay, I can sell X amount of pieces within a quarter, and you can start to budget and get a contingency and windfall to where it can help cushion your costs and everything. Because if you price yourself out, you're going to do a lot of damage. It's just like, one thing I do for people who say I can't afford your work is I sell phantom tubes, to where galleries just said, hey, we got this, and it's kind of scuffed, we can't sell it, because they want something pristine. Also, if I sell through Saatchi, I'm given 3 days to virtually make sure that when I pack it, get the gloves, the hammer suit, and make sure that thing is pristine. So by the time it gets to the collector has to sign up and say, yes, this is great. Within 2 weeks, I'm like, and if you get 3 strikes, you're out. And Saatchi is pretty hard ass on that. But this is the thing to where you get in the habit of your presentation. But back to the phantom tubes. When they send me back tubes and go, this happened in the post, rather than just toss them away, I go, hey, I've got some that someone might want, but I can post them and go, hey, you buy a phantom tube for 350 pounds, I can take 3 or 4 tubes that are scuffed and whatever that would normally sell for 400 each, and someone says, oh, wow, so you have to be quite savvy of how you're going to actually start marketing and pricing your work on that, and recouping your losses as well, because printing sheet clay prints as well can be very costly, and if it's not done right into your specifications, and I take issues with the Kelsey Rodriguez video, which is like, oh, the guy who's supposed to print my thing and he I'm like, I'm sorry, it's your business to know your shit. And if you're just passing the buck and going, oh, so-and-so robbed me, and just to make content, no, I don't buy it. If you're going to a printer, he's going to print it how you gave him a file. End of. If you don't know what you're fucking doing, then you shouldn't be doing art in the first place. But if you're learning, you're going to learn through your mistakes. And essentially, you know, if a printer is fucked up for me, I'm like, hey, this is wrong. The register's off. Dot 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 dot. I didn't, and they rip it up. Breaks my heart. I hate it, but the nature of the business. But I'm a hard ass when it comes to those. But essentially, you always want to make sure that you either do the square inch or what you figure is your hourly rate and recoup your costs. Framing and stuff like that, you know, I would say pay for what you can afford. Don't put yourself into a debt. But eventually you will get, you know, a reputation for trying to do or doing quality stuff and your talent and skill for what they believe is worth it. So with that, you should, you know, I will say this, stick to your gut. You know, I've had certain people go, you know, I'll knock up 200, 300 off, and they buy it. And once a director said, you very drunkenly told someone that you would hang the work in their house for free if you bought the work. And I had to go and hang the fucking thing. And, you know, I mean, if Mondrian did it, so can Henry. So, but, you know, ultimately, knowing your worth and sticking to that plan, you're going to be all right. So I hope this helps and is informative to you. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And to the 100 followers, thank you for this. Who knew? But thank you, and I'll see you again later. Cheers.